Hi Veeramani, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I'm absolutely fine. Thank you for asking. Can you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, sure, sir. I'm Veeramani. I have 12 years of experience in software testing. I have worked on both manual and automation. Um, my major area of interest includes Selenium and Java automation with TestNG plugins. I have worked on Agile and waterfall methodology projects. My first company was Cognizant, where I've been working for 7 years. Next, I moved on to Congruent Infotech. There, I was working as a senior test engineer, uh, almost 3 years. Um, then I moved on to Secure Applied Technologies. There also I've been working for a 3 months contract project. Um, my latest project was also a automation testing project with page object model frameworks. My native was from Madurai. Apart from professional background, my native was from Madurai. I'm staying with my family as of now in Chennai.
Okay. So can you tell us something about the automation framework? Was that created by you?
Yeah, automation frameworks. Actually, I was supporting the automation frameworks.
Mm-hmm.
Like test data support for automation. Uh, the team was struggling with creating a test data for the application that I was working on. So I was able to create test data also. Um, this was very useful for them to create an object repository for the automation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is my first step in the automation while I was working in QTP automation project.
Okay.
In Selenium, with my self-interest, I learned Selenium, and
Mm-hmm.
also I got a project in Selenium in one of the e-commerce retail project. I was working as an automation tester, full-time automation tester,
Okay.
and creating test scripts and test cases.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not involved in creation of frameworks from the scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I was working on test automation frameworks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the framework was already created by someone else.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So what was your contribution to that framework?
My major
Mm-hmm.
contribution was first I analyzed how they create the frameworks. They have this utilities file. It will called wrapper methods, helper classes. Whenever we want to click any button or send any text in the text boxes, we use this click and send keys methods. We don't want to utilize them continuously. Instead of them, we need to reuse those methods. In that case, only got it like they can be used as a helper classes, and we can call that method from that class file and use it. So I was also working on some of the like taking screenshots. If I want to what to say select any text by indexes or values. So in that case, I help the team like we can add some more methods in the utilities class. It will be useful for my team also.
Right, right. So how did you find the automation code coverage? Like, how much was the automation coverage?
Mission coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Usually functional test cases.
Mm-hmm.
I use a formula called total number of test cases
Mm-hmm.
executed by total number of test cases in the list. So this is how we do the coverage.
Mm.
That is called test effectiveness also.
Correct.
But in automation wise, we have a total number of test cases automated,
Mm.
uh, total number of test cases, total number of available test cases for the functionality. Either we can do that. That is one of the formula. Um, in other case, we can use test ng reports.
Hmm.
Every time we do the execution, test ng reports will be generated.
Hmm.
So we can take the pass, fail, skip counts. So using that also, we can tell how much coverage is done for the automation.
Hmm. Okay. So via test ng reports, we will get the result of the test cases that would have got executed. Now we also have to deal with the code that is not yet automated, right? For example, in the code, for example, let's say there is a create user functionality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
sir.
in create user, there are number of permutation and combination, number of scenarios are there. Like
Yes.
the user should be alphanumeric, user should be created with special character. They should allow the user to create with alphanumeric plus combination of special. But when it comes to white space character, it should not be accepted while creating user,
Yeah,
right?
negative
So
message.
so these kind of things they would have they would have written in the code, these kind of if conditions, right? Now we have to make sure that all these if conditions are being covered, whatever the methods, whatever the code that they have written, right? That should get covered via automation, right?
Yes.
So in order to make sure that we have covered everything via automation, it is necessary to have a automation code coverage. And for this automation coverage, you will have various tools available, right? And once you run your automation, before that you have to just make some configuration, or it depends on tool to tool, right? You will make some configuration changes and then you will run
Actually,
your
there are
automation.
some
Hmm.
yeah, there are some tools also to measure the coverage.
Correct.
In one of the video, I saw that you were discussing about the tools also,
Mhm.
sir. For
Mhm.
automation, coverage tools are
Right.
also there.
Right. So if this question is asked to you in a real-time interview, you can tell about those tools. If you have worked on those tools, if you have not worked, so you can get some basic idea, right, from the videos or Google is there, right? And try to answer, because at your level, definitely they will ask you. And when it comes to, this question, like what is your contribution to the framework? So you can also tell them that earlier the code coverage was around 40%, but because of me, like, or you can say I contributed or I helped team in automating few of the test scenarios which were not yet covered, and it came to 55-60%, sort of kind of example you can give.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
this
sure.
thing you can tell. Okay.
Sure.
Did you create automation traceability matrix?
Yes, yes, sir. I have created that.
Okay. Can you explain what was the automation traceability matrix and on a high level, and what are the different parameters that you covered in that?
Yeah, RTM, recommend traceability matrix. That is what we call. That is done using Excel sheets. Excel sheets like what to say. We have the requirement ID, and also requirement ID will be matched to the particular test scenario or test cases in an Excel sheet manner. So using that, we can check which test case is mapped to which requirements. So that is a major thing. So this will easily verify whether the particular requirements or use cases are covered. So this is how our team is maintained. In another way, we have the quality center or ALM. There also we have a requirement coverage section where we go to the requirements area and map the test cases correspondingly. What are the test cases that we map them correspondingly, and we find them also, sir. You can use that also for coverages.
Right. So this answer that you gave, that was with respect to requirement traceability matrix, right? What about automation traceability matrix? Right. So within the requirement traceability matrix, you can have some column whether these test cases would be automated or not, or you can create a separate matrix with the combination of test cases and test scenarios. And with respect to that, you can have one column of yes, no, kind of whether these test cases you are going to automate, or whether these test cases you are not going to automate. Those are not feasible for automation. So these kind of things you can incorporate in automation
Sorry, sir.
traceability matrix.
Actually, there is a section in quality center like whether it can be automated or not.
Correct.
So yes, no, not applicable sections were there also.
Okay. So in the quality center you are referring to. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So if you are making this kind of metrics in quality center, then it is fine. But if you are making such kind of metrics in Excel file, then this can be used.
Initially, when I was a trainee, I was using Excel sheets.
Okay.
After that, I moved on to Quality Center, Jira.
Mhm.
These are the other tools.
Right, right. Okay, so you have worked on Jira as well.
Yes, recently Jira, sir.
Okay. So you might be following agile methodology.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Agile methodology, sir.
Okay. So which are the various agile ceremonies that you are part of?
Yep. Sprint, sprint review, sprint retrospective, sprint planning,
Mhm.
sprint meetings like status calls, um, sprint planning, sir.
Okay, okay. So what is the difference between sprint planning and retrospective meeting?
So planning is the first activity.
Mhm.
Without planning, we cannot do the next step also. Um, but in case of a sprint retrospective, it was like a final stage of the agile ceremony. Like whatever we completed so far, what went well,
Mhm.
what will be the next like in this particular release,
Mhm.
what are the things we have completed so far. So that
Mhm.
is the major activity for sprint retrospectives.
Correct. And what about retrospective?
What not went well, like what are the other impediments we had,
Mhm.
um, any of the suggestions from the team,
Correct.
the team might be answering some suggestions,
Mhm.
so we can provide them also. um, so these are the things, but we can also note it down in the agile ceremonies. We can use it for the next sprint or the next project release.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Now consider a scenario where you have to provide estimation to some user story, right? And you have a team of development, you have a team of testing along with you. Project managers are there, business analysts are there, scrum masters are there. Which are the different parameters that you will consider while estimating a user story? Do you want me to
Yeah,
help you? Yeah.
no sir, yeah, got the question. One of the project recently I worked on, I got like a new estimation technique, like a tease. It's called size estimation, like based on the shirt sizes, small, medium, large.
Correct.
They also provided one estimation
Mm,
also, sir. Like a simple user story, they will give us a simple rating, or a medium user story, like it has having 3 to 4 points.
mm,
We can give it as a medium user story, and a complex or a large user story.
mm,
So simple, medium, large, even very large also available. So,
mm. Okay.
so this is what
So, right, right. So let's say there are two stories. Okay. And now you have to give the sizing to that story. One may be medium, one may be large, right? So which are the various parameters on the basis of which you will give the sizing?
yeah, obviously you are right. One may be medium, large. Everything is combined in a single sprint project. So in that case, we can even use the use case points also, sir. You can use case points also there. So we can give them a rating of 2 3, and then we can analyze them. Okay, this can be doable for 2 3 days. This one use case can be done for 2 3 days of execution. So a medium use case can be done in a single day. So that is how the rating methods also goes, based on number of testers also, sir.
Correct. So do you have idea about acceptance criteria?
Sorry, sir, can you repeat the question, sir?
Yeah. Do you have idea about acceptance criteria?
Yes, yes. Acceptance criteria.
Mm,
Yeah.
right.
Acceptance criteria is nothing but whether the product is good to go. For example, a customer provides all the business requirements to the team. The product team develops the product, then moves for testing. If there is no errors in the unit testings also, um, the tester finds any bugs and checks also it is good for use to the end customers. So they have their own testing types and methodologies.
Mhm.
Finally, there was a review made. Okay, this product is successful. Customer can work on it. So this is how the QC or QA approvals goes on. Um, Whenever the product goes before living, we have the testing called acceptance testing is also user acceptance testing.
Mhm.
So this is done by a group of testers. So acceptance criteria is nothing but the conditions that how the product works,
Mhm.
and also whether it can go for live or not. So that is the major thing.
So acceptance criteria would be a part of user story, right? In acceptance criteria, you will have a list of points, right? Like this particular story should complete this. If there are any non-functional requirements, so if it's a, for example, login scenario, so it should be able to log in with 300 users, 500 users, 1,000 users, for example, right? So based on those acceptance criteria, you can provide estimation actually, right? Let's say if you have a big list of acceptance criteria, so the sizing of the story would be high. Also, the time taken for your testing estimation would be high because you would need more time to test that particular story. Similarly, if there is only one or two points in the story, acceptance criteria in the story, then you need less time to test the story, so the estimation would be small, right?
Okay.
So this is how you can give the test estimation. You can go through the acceptance criteria, whether it is just covering functional requirements. If it is not covering non-functional requirements, then you have to take a stand. Okay, the user story should have a non-functional requirements as well, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
these things you should definitely take up. You know, these things you should take stand in all these agile ceremonies,
This
right?
acceptance criteria is in the user story itself, sir.
Right, right. Acceptance criteria. So many people, in these days, the project managers or business analysts who are working with stakeholders or customers, they are mentioning those acceptance criteria. But now the conflict is occurring where a project manager is telling, how would I know? Why should I write how many users you are able to log in? You are
Yes.
having a proper idea about design. So you have done the technical architecture thing. So
Yeah.
how will I write the non-functional requirements? So being a QA, from a QA perspective, you should definitely ask them that you tell them what is the requirement from the client. Then accordingly,
Okay.
we will work with the development team to make sure whether it is withstanding that thing or not, right?
Okay.
So that is how you can tell.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Got it.
Now consider a scenario where you had the automation framework ready, right? The automation was done of various functionality, right? Now the development team, the architecture, the dev lead comes to you and they tell you that the login page is going to get modified, right? That will be a part of the user story in the next sprint, right? So you have to give the estimation. So manual testing estimation you will give, right? What about the automation testing estimation? How will you estimate the change, and what would be your test automation strategy for this thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, manual testing estimation we saw. So automation perspective.
Hmm.
Um, like usually automation perspective will depends on manual testing estimations also, sir.
Hmm. Hmm.
So without that, automation testing efforts cannot be calculated also.
Okay.
Like we need to find how many number of test cases, or we need to identify what are the test cases. It can be automated also.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if the number or the count is obtained, we can next go for how much time or how much days it is going to take for a single automation
Hmm.
frameworks.
Okay. Consider a
So
scenario where, yes, yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
yeah, 100 test cases out of 250 to 300 test cases, we have 100 test cases to be automated.
Hmm.
So 100 test cases automation should be done in 30 days or
Hmm.
25 days. So
Hmm.
we need to achieve that total number of days that it takes for to complete the automation. So in that case, Actually, in my project, I have worked for almost 5 to 6 test cases per day.
Okay.
All are medium test cases, not so complex and not so simple test cases.
Mhm.
Medium test cases, and some of the test cases are complex, and some test cases are simple also, sir.
Right.
So based on the size, total, how about the verification points? Number of verification points also there. So based on that, we can achieve the capacity.
Mhm. Okay. Now consider a scenario where you have almost 25 test cases for that change of the login page, the user story, right?
So
Now, how will you estimate your test automation time? Like how much time do you need for automating that?
test cases. Um, all the 25 test cases or simple or medium, large, sir,
Mm.
or a combination of it.
Yes, combination of test cases are there, right? Mm.
We can have like a 1 week of estimations, sir. Within
Mhm.
a week, it can be completed. Uh, also,
Okay, so you mean 7 working days.
yes, 7.
Okay. And how about integration testing? How so 7 working days for automating that particular page, and then you have to integrate as well, right?
Yeah. For a login page, in case of login page, as we discussed,
Mm,
so maximum 20 to 25 test cases can be done also.
mm,
Um, so the all the positive. Firstly, we should target for positive test cases. Finally, we should move to negative test cases also.
mm,
Um, Also, we should check all the possible scenarios. We should
mm,
not miss even one scenario in testing perspective.
mm,
And final assertions are made for each and every button,
mm,
text boxes. Assertions are made. In my case, I have used assert that statement to verify the expected actuals are meeting.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
these are
So
the major cases.
right. So those things you will take care in the automation, but how much time you will estimate for integrating your the new automation that you will create with the existing automation framework.
I haven't much worked into that part, sir.
Mhm. No worries.
Yeah,
See, I'll tell you a very good answer for this, right? See, your framework was page object model, right? You were having page object model in your current company. You have also worked on it. So there is no time required for integration. The pages are already created. The methods are already been created for calling, right? Now the change is there in the login page. So login functionality. So what you will do, you will open the login page, you will identify the locators, you will just keep the changes of the locators that you have, right? The functionality changes there or not, that was not in the part of the question, right? The login page has changed. That is the UI UX has changed. So your XPath, your CSS, your selectors, that whichever you have, those will get changed, right? So you already have that page available in your framework, the login page, the old one that would be replaced, or in the same page only you can keep the new elements, right? It is already a part of your framework, so no need to
yeah,
integrate.
yeah.
Automatically
See,
it would be called, right?
yeah.
So this
In my case, actually, I remember that one, sir. Like we have a repository, object repository, or the locators repository.
correct,
So we have it also.
right? So the object repository, what does it have? It will have all those objects, locations, right? So you just have
Yes.
to modify them. And that is the beauty of this page object model, that only one page will get changed.
Yeah.
The similar
For each
lines you, yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
dashboard page, home page, login page, we have
Correct,
each every page in the classes.
correct.
We have all the locators, like
Hmm.
the page column is behaviors of the page, or the behaviors, what are the things we're going to do, and all the web elements will be listed in them. So
Mm-hmm. Correct. On the similar
we have,
lines, yeah.
yeah,
On the similar lines, you might also get a question. right? Like whether you are integrating your test automation framework with the test management tool. Let's say you have this Jira, right, from which you are writing the test cases, right? Now, is your automation only taking care of updating the test cases in Jira, or you are doing it manually? So this kind of questions can also come,
Okay,
right?
okay, sir.
So how do
I'll be
you, yeah, so now you can answer this question. Like, do you automate the Jira as well? Do you have this Jira integration kind of thing in your automation framework?
um no, actually I haven't integrated Jira with frameworks also. Um, we have integrated with Maven, Maven only. Maven is a major integration, and of course Jenkins. Jenkins also we integrated, but I was not involved in that. I have heard about it, quite learning about that also.
Okay, okay. So you can
Integration
get
with
some, yeah, please go ahead.
quantity center and TFS is also done for automation, so that we can take the test cases, manual test cases, from there and find the automation coverage for that also.
Got it, got it. Okay, so you can get some basic idea about how this integration is done. And the next point would be about Jenkins, right? So you have Jenkins pipeline, right? So
Yes,
which are the
yes.
various stages in the Jenkins pipeline?
Yeah, Jenkins is a major tool. They call it as a continuous integration and continuous delivery tool. Um, so the major steps in the Jenkins pipeline: configuration. First, we need to configure the Jenkins. It was a file that can used in Linux as well as Windows platforms. Um, so we need to have a build file like .bat file. So using that only we can run that batch job. We need the time of the execution. What is the exact time or the for the test cases to run? For example, daily morning 6 a.m. all these test cases should run. So this is what the requirement of the tester. So Jenkins obviously take that as an input and configure it also. So how many number of test cases? It is also calculated, sir. 100 test cases or 150 test cases, count of test cases is required. Um, then uh, any integration with any other tools, uh, builds. What is the latest build of Jenkins we are going to use? We can even use command prompt also to run the batch job from for Jenkins. Yes, these are the major things, sir.
Right, right. So when it comes to pipeline, no, so you have to explain about the stages that would be there in the Jenkins, right? The first stage would be, for example, creating a machine on the fly, right? Whichever configuration machine you need 16 GB RAM machine, you need 32 GB RAM machine, you need a server OS, you need a simple OS, right? Windows 8, Windows 10, or you need server OS like Server 2012, data center, those kind of things would be coming in the first stage. Second stage is you would be down the Jenkins would be downloading everything, the Git automation code and the code to up to make the website up and running, the application under automation, right?
Okay.
The third stage would be the automation would get triggered, right?
Yeah.
The fourth stage would be the reports would get generated and it would be sent to stakeholders, team leads, team managers, your team members, the dev team members. Fifth stage would be the machine would be turned off. So such kind of things, you can have 5 stages, you can have
Okay.
more than 5 stages. It depends on org to org,
Project.
department to
Yeah.
department. That is individual score. But
Yeah.
this is how you can explain stages in the for the Jenkins pipeline. Okay. Okay, then Viramani, I'm
Jenkins.
done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, sir. Actually, they call them as Jenkins. It is an open source tool also, sir. It can be used widely by all the users. Um,
Yes.
like Jenkins, also I heard you mentioned Team City, Travis CI, or some of the tools that can
Correct.
be used also.
Correct. Those can be used, but Jenkins is becoming popular because of the usability, and it can be easily integrated with other tools like, Git is there. So you can have that thing available in the Jenkins, right? So this is the beauty of the Jenkins. There are various vectors because of which people are going towards Jenkins.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Okay, Viramani, all the best for your career. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I'm also fine, sir. I'm fine with the interview. It was a great experience. Nice talking to you also, sir. And
Same.
also, like any other feedbacks from your end, sir?
Mhm. See, I don't think your knowledge was not up to the mark. It was good. You have got 12 years of experience, so that was really good. What you have to give time is towards the real-time scenario-based questions, right? In your level of experience, you might not be getting the questions on theoretical thing like what is the difference between these two or severity, priority. But you have to sell yourself like which are the various things that you have worked on in your career or in your teams on a high level. You can give the generic idea to the interview panel that what makes you different from the other leaders, right? Because they would be looking for a leadership role in you, right? So what kind of contribution, how you have given the contribution in such a way that your team was boosted for the positive. Maybe you can tell that they gave the estimation of 8 to 10 days, but we completed it 4 to 5 days due to this test strategy, due to this test planning.
Yeah,
XYZ factor I introduced, and due to this, it was done. Or maybe I contributed in this way in the framework and it was done, right? Or
contribution
maybe
to
I helped them in getting a good amount of automation code coverage, right? Or maybe I helped them in getting a training of Selenium and all these things. They were not comfortable with all this programming
I was
language and basic.
working as a team lead also, sir. I was working as a
Yes.
team lead for 6
Hmm.
members. I've given the knowledge transfer to them also.
So when the first question is coming, tell me something about yourself. So you have to tell that I'm leading a team of I was leading a team of 5 to 6 members in my this company, and this was the process. And slowly and gradually you have to tell what was the process and how you were driving that process, right?
Okay,
So these things you have to tell, right?
okay, sir.
So
Got it.
yeah,
I'll be doing that also. I'll
yeah,
be doing that best,
yes,
my best also.
yes. So you have already done. So showcase your skills. You have to sell yourself, right? You have to make sure
Okay.
that they select you, right? And increase your confidence. There is nothing wrong. You have got good knowledge now. It's up to them whether they hire you or not. But don't speak with less confidence. Be positive, be confident.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Veeramani, and all the best for your career. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you, sir. Thank you again.